Hello, Meg here from I Teach Stamping, and welcome to the Friday Flip. So the Friday Flip is where we take one project idea and we flip it into something completely different. So let's go ahead and dive in with our inspiration piece. So I personally love this card, but we're going to change it up. We're going to keep a lot of the same features, but turn it into something completely different. Now the only things I've done ahead of time is I've dry embossed a piece of crumb cake that's 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches using the honeycomb embossing folder. And then I die cut a piece of Marina Mist using the Hello You Thinlits. So we've got that taken care of, and now we're ready to do our stamping. So we're going to bring in a piece of Whisper White, and this one's going to be 2 inches by 3 inches. And we're using the Crazy About You, and I'm using the words So Proud Of. And I'm using Crumb Cake ink. I'm going to stamp this to the right hand side, but also closer to the top of this Whisper White. Alright, so we have that. Then on an extra piece of Whisper White cardstock, so it can be any scrap that you have, you just need it to be big enough to fit in your punch. I'm going to use Rose Red ink, and from the same Crazy About You stamp set, I'm going to use what I'm calling the whirligig flower. I'm sure it has a very lovely name, but I just call it the whirligig flower. I'm going to stamp it here. Kind of hold down, let all that ink transfer. There we go. And then all of our stamping is done. So I can close these up. I'm going to let this one dry just a smidge longer, and we're going to do some punching. So I'm going to take the little banner punch. I'm going to punch out 3 pieces of Whisper White. And then I'm going to take a piece of crushed curry. And this is the Owl Builder punch. I want this circle right here. So the one that's really nice and close to the heart. That's what I want. Alright, so we've got that. And let's see here. This should be dry by now. So let's go ahead and take our 1 3/4 inch scallop circle punch. Get this nice and lined up. This was one of the first things that sold me on stamping, was stamps that line up with punches. Then we're going to grab a pair of scissors and we're going to cut. So I'm just going to follow the whirligig of the flower to the point where the ink stops. So I'm not cutting all the way into the middle. So now that we have our whirligig all ready to go, I'm going to take these and I'm going to pull up every other petal. So that's just going to give me some 3-dimensional oomph with it. Okay, so we have that. Grab a mini glue dot, and we're going to kiss this little yellow circle onto that, peel it up, and drop it into the center of our flower. So that is going to make our little whirligig, and then I'm going to grab a dimensional and get it on the back side of this and just let it rest for a bit. Okay, so now let's go ahead and bring in some of our other layers. Let's go ahead and build out our card from the inside out. So the base for our card is going to be Marina Mist 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 scored at 4 1/4. And for the inside, I just went super simple, and I'm taking a piece of crumb cake that's 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. That's it. You can add other things to it if you want, but I left mine plain. Then I'm going to add this crumb cake that I dry embossed ahead of time to my card front. And we have that. Alright, next is going to come in a strip of the crushed curry ribbon. And this is one of the celebration items for 2014. There's a little ribbon button pack. And this is the Best Day Ever accessory pack. Alright, so we're going to take this. And just like how I always say, free stamp stamp better, free ribbon ties better. Just trust me on this one. Okay, so we have this, and before we go much further, I'm going to take these little chevron, little banner things that we got going on here. I'm going to add the 3, just right towards the bottom of that strip. This is going to go onto our card front, like so. Then we're going to take our So Proud of You, and I'm going to add it onto a piece of Whisper White. It's going to be 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. So just a 1/4 inch bigger, and it's white on white. It's a little bit hard to tell with the camera, but in person, white on white is just stunning. All right, so I'm going to drop this in place. We're going to add our whirligig flower. And you might have to do some repoof. That, I'm sure, is a technical word in some language. Okay, so then I'm going to take some liquid glue on the back of this little die cut Thinlit. Liquid glue is by far the best adhesive to use with this. And then I wanted it to go off the side and the bottom, but if you don't want to, you can either cut your white a little bit lower, or bigger I mean, or scoot this up. You can make it work. I just liked it kind of going off the edge there. All right, then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to bring in the 10-second bow maker, and I'm going to leave 2 holes in between. I'm going to grab some more of this fabulous ribbon, do a double loop bow. When you get the 10-second bow maker, it's going to come with, you'll get access to videos that teach you how to do all these extra cool bows. So it's not just the basic bow. I think there's 5 or 6 different videos that come with it now. I'm just going to slide this off. Spread those apart. Grab my ribbon scissors. Okay, now we can scoot this out of the way. I'm going to grab another one of those little glue dots, peel that off, and drop it in place down here. One more thing to finish out this card. Here's my little paper piercer. I'm just going to take one of the large size of the assorted rhinestones and pop that into the center of our flower. And just like that, our card is done. So let's go ahead and bring in our inspiration piece. So we started with this one. We kept the round image, moved it to the front of the card. We took these layers and set them back. We kept the ribbon, we kept the bow, we kept the little banners. And just like that, you've got the Friday flip. So I hope you enjoyed this week's Friday flip. If you liked it, please be sure to like it below and also be sure to share it with your friends. Then be sure to head on over to the I Teach Stamping blog and sign up for my mailing list so that you get even more exclusive content that I only share with your inbox. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I'm Meg from I Teach Stamping, and have a great day.